Sunburst, Anthias, and Polish Bottle Acrylic Painting Tutorial by HotPinkZebraPaper.
Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be showing you the third Polish Bottle and Fish acrylic painting tutorial, as well as also announcing the giveaway winner to the last video that I uploaded that was the second Polish Bottle and Fish. And so really quick, in today's video it's going to be the purple background with a really bright pink and yellow Sunburst Anthias that are inside that Polish Bottle. And this one is my favorite of the three. I don't know if it could possibly be my favorite painting that I've ever done, I'm not sure, but it's definitely up there. I really love this one. I hope you guys like it too, and if you're interested in any of the prints, as well as I also have peacock prints, definitely go to my online store. There's a link to that in the description box below to check that out. And the winner of the giveaway is Taryn B. So if you could contact me within 72 hours, whether that be by Facebook, Instagram, email, or even a personal message on YouTube so we can arrange shipping and all of that fantastic stuff, that would be wonderful. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!
So I'm going to start by just basing out the background with that really gorgeous dark purple color, and when I do this I'm just going to go over everything besides the polished bottle. So for this painting, it's a pretty basic shape. It's nothing too crazy. I'm just going to go over the background just like that. And then after I have that and it's dried, I'm going to go through and I'm going to be adding the rings of shadow and highlight that the polished bottle is throwing off onto the surface that this would be sitting on, which to me, I always imagine like a, I don't know, like a table in a corner. That's what I always think of when I have a plain background color like this. And glass always kind of, like I said, throws off these rings. So you're going to do some lighter highlights and then some darker rings around the base of the bottle. So then with a slightly lighter shade of purple, not too much, it's subtle, you're going to want to fill in the inside of the polished bottle, not including the fish and not including the brush. And when I say not including the fish, you do want to cover over their fins and their tail, but their body, you want to leave that as is and not cover that up. But their fins and their tail, go ahead and completely just block those out with that lighter color. Then going back to the darker color of purple, fill in the plastic portion of the handle of the brush. And then to do the bristles of the brush, go ahead and do that with black. And so that is the way that that goes. And when you're doing that plastic part of the brush, don't go over the fish, but do go over the rest of it. And when you go do the bristles go over the fish. I hope all of that makes sense. So then to do my little fishy, I'm going to take white and I'm just going to fix up his body shape and make sure that looks right. And then using slightly diluted white paint, I'm going to almost watercolor the fins and the tail, just so that you can see some of that purple through and it's got a clear translucency to it that a fish's fins, or some fish, their fins have that and their tail has that too. So then I'm going to be adding all the color to my fish and layering all that. So you're not going over the bristles of the brush because this one is behind the brush. And I'm going to be adding, mostly his body is going to be pink with a little orange hue around the top. And then his fins are mostly yellow, all of them. And then I'm also going to be, he's got these like colored stripes on his face that are yellow. So he's got these yellow patterns on his face. So I'm going to be adding that as well. And then just going over everything and adding just a touch of like a purple color near his tail on like the underside of him. And then also adding his eyes, which are mostly pink. These little Sunburst Anthias are so bright and so colorful, and they're just so pretty and gorgeous. I fell in love with them when I saw them. And then I'm going to be with yellow, I'm going to be adding some scales right along the top of the fish. And then as it gets more into the pink area, I'm going to do the scales with some diluted white paint instead, just brightening those up, as well as adding just a little bit of white lines in the fins and the tail, just to make that a little bit more textured and like it's got that, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's not really translucency that their tails have, but it's like, almost reminds me of like tulle or something, like the material. Anyways, then I'm going to go through and I'm going to be adding more details to my little fishy, a couple little highlights here and there, little things like that. And then I'm going to be adding the details to the brush of the bristles of the brush. So I'm going to go over with some more black paint and then highlight it with gray just a little bit. And then with gray as well, I'm going to be adding the little the little metal part that fits into the plastic part of the handle. And then going back to black paint, I'm going to add some more details to the brush, as well as adding a couple little bristles that are fanning out from the sides. If you paint your nails and if you're familiar with these nail polish brushes, they never stay together. So there's always a couple of these bristles that are going off in their own direction. And then with some diluted black paint, I'm going to be adding some shadows to the handle, the plastic handle, as well as a highlight with some diluted white. And that's really where you can see that the fish goes behind it and you can see through it. That really sells that. And then I'm going to be adding one fin from this little fishy that is going over the front of that brush. And then I'm going to be adding the other little fish. So I've already added that white base layer down on him, which I'm sorry I missed. I don't know what my camera was thinking there for a moment. And then I'm just going to be repeating the exact same steps for the fish. So he's got that pink and orange color on his stomach. And with this one, the proportions look a little different. He's got a slightly different shape to him because he is more flat across, whereas the other fish is kind of coming at you from the back. He's more face on. So he looks a little bit longer, a little more stretched out, which is from just that perspective. So that is the kind of thing that you really want to make sure that you look for when you're working on a painting. The other thing that I didn't really mention with the other one is they've got this very slight blue hint on their tail. So just add just a little bit of a blue in there as you're working on that. And so I'm going to be adding the same little patterns on this guy's face. And it's actually funny, this is the same fish. When I took these pictures, it was the same fish, just two different poses. So I don't know, I'm not actually sure if the patterns on their face are common from Sunburst Anthias to Sunburst Anthias, but for these two it is, because it is actually the same fish painted twice. So adding those same yellow scales just like before and kind of blending those down a little bit, and then when you get into the more pink area, go through and either do that with a lighter shade of pink or with just some diluted white paint. Just like that, little dots for all of those little scales on him. Just like that. And then adding some highlights on his face, adding some details on his eye. That's another thing, their eyes look different depending on the perspective. So for the one that's more coming at you face on, his eyes look like half circles on each side, and then his pupils are just like these little lines. Whereas this one that you're seeing his eye from the side, his eye is going to be circular and he's got a circular pupil. So it's another thing that just to look at, something interesting that, I don't know, I like noticing these things. And then I'm going to start, after both fish are done and dry, I'm going to be adding just a little bit of the base idea of where the waterline is. So I just added that with some diluted white paint, and I'm going to go through with the colors of the fish. So I've got pink, orange, yellow, blue, as well as some black and some white, and I'm going to be adding the little reflection rings of color on the surface of the water and on the base of the glass. So when you're doing this, you're going to see these little rings of color surrounding the brush as well as under the bottom of the fish. And you're also going to see them that they kind of stay in the area that the color is. So with these fish, it's not as noticeable as with some, but you're going to want to try to keep the colors in line and parallel with each other. So for the rings on the bottom, the blue is mostly on the tail. So you're going to want to keep all of that blue towards that side of his tail. And then keep the pink. Pink can go pretty much anywhere, and the black, try to keep that in the middle because that's where the brush is. If all of that makes sense, I hope it does. And it makes a bigger difference when you have a fish that's got, or when you're doing anything that's reflective that's got a big area of color on one side and a different area of color on the other side, because you're going to want to keep that together. With these guys, since they're pretty much pink and yellow everywhere, it's less important. So then, using some diluted black paint, I'm going to go through and I'm going to be really adding some of the shape and the dimension to the bottle. And also, this bottle that I was painting has like this, it's got two levels of angles at the top of it. It kind of goes out a little bit and then it angles down some more. So I'm going to be making sure that I add those different angles there. And then I'm also just going to be adding that, and you're going to want to make sure that you add a line for where the inside of the bottle is, that little line for where the glass is, because the glass is not the same all the way through. It's got, you know, a little bit different there. So just keep going through with some black and some white diluted paint and just add all of those little highlights and details and everything, and go over the fish. Because they're inside, this glass that you're painting, this is the outside. So if you think of it like you're peeling things away like an onion, you're working on the core first and then you're building things out progressively. So go over the top of it, you know, cover things up. It's going to just add some realism. Then one thing I didn't say while it was happening, you're also going to want to make sure that you add full strength white and black highlights and shadows onto that glass. Since glass is so reflective, there's also those intense areas of white and black. So then for the lid, or for the, lid, top of the polished bottle, I am going to be doing the chrome just like the other two bottles. And so I'm going to be starting with just basing that out in gray, and then going through and adding all of the colors and reflections that are in that chrome, starting with some white. And you can start this with whatever color you like. When I'm doing these, I always like to make sure that I do a couple things. You're always going to want to add some white and some black, and also some of the background color into your chrome, because the background color would be reflected onto this bottle. No matter what kind of room situation you are, you're going to see some of that. The other thing I want to mention is, just like with the other two, I made sure I added my little zebra logo, my little Zeta in there, and so as well as just that little outline kind of my phone in the little camera hole. So I added that right there on the edge. I switched up its location for each of these three paintings. I really enjoyed doing that. It was just a fun little hidden secret in all three of these paintings that really ties them together, I think. And so I'm just going to go through, and there I'm adding some of that purple, like I said, just because if you have this polished bottle sitting in a purple room, you are definitely going to see some purple on that lid. Regardless of what kind of angle you have on your camera, it's going to be seen. And then the other thing with these, I did this with the other two as well, I kind of kept the same colors on the chrome lid as I did with the fish inside. So I'm going to be using some pinks and some yellows on the lid, just because the fish themselves are pink and yellow. And I'm just going to continue to add details here and there, more and more things, just adding them, making sure that when you do these chrome lids, you can stop at any point. Like this would work depending on the situation. That is definitely what a chrome lid could look like. The more details you add, it kind of changes the way it looks and the idea of what's going on around you. But it doesn't really matter. This one I added the most detail to in the chrome lid, and I liked that, but it's not necessarily how it has to be. I hope all that makes sense. So just keep adding things until you look at it and you're thinking, nope, that looks good, that looks done. The other thing you can do is take something that's chrome. It does not have to be a bottle of nail polish. It can be anything that's chrome. There's so much chrome around lately. You can even take a spoon. That would work. And just go and take pictures of it in a couple different lighting situations, a couple different room situations, outside, inside, and then look at these and grab shapes from them and grab ideas from them and put them into the painting. Grab color combinations that you like from them. And just, it doesn't have to be exactly what one of the photos is. You can certainly combine them without a problem. So then after you have that, just make sure that you go through and you add the final little white and black touches to really bring in the sides of the chrome so it doesn't look like it's just flying out everywhere. So just kind of tuck in the sides with some white and some black, which is one of the final things that I always like to do on these. There's a couple little white highlights. And especially on the chrome, you do definitely want white highlights because you want that to have that really reflective appearance, which that bright white color is going to give. And it's the same thing. Take white all the way from the top to the bottom and cover everything up because that is how chrome would be, and the highlights are the top thing. So I hope you like this painting. Check out my Facebook and Instagram accounts to see more of my art, and don't forget to check out the online store link, which is in the description box below, to see where the prints are at, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!